So now, let's get to our guest for the issues for this morning. My guest this morning from Kwekubaku's seat is Felix Kwakye Ofosu. He is former Deputy Communications Minister and NDC parliamentary candidate for Abura Asebu Kwaman Kese. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, thank you.
Right. So I was just saying a while ago that he's vanished from, the media scene because obviously the MPs know that where to do the work really is on the ground, like they say in Chi, agronifum. All right. So by Felix is Godwin Ama, the General Secretary, Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners. Thanks for joining us. All right. And to my left, starting with the Honorable Deputy Attorney General and MP for Timpani, Joseph Dindiok Penka, and also Kofi Bento, Senior Vice President of Imani Africa. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, so this is how we begin. I want us to listen to President Akufo-Addo when 2019, at the start of 2019, after the ban had been lifted on the Galamsey, he had a world stage to speak to the world and how hopeful, how happy, how excited he was about how much we had conquered in the fight against Galamsey. And after you listen to him, you'll hear a campaigner against Galamsey, Solomon Owusu, very popular now because of the questions he had put to Osafo Mafu and the rest that drew a lot of attention, also trying to subject some of what the president has said to the world to scrutiny.
It has become a large-scale and dangerous operation that has reduced our lands and water bodies to sad spectacles, mainly as a result of the introduction of sophisticated equipment and machinery into the field by foreign-controlled criminal syndicates. In Ghana, we moved to address this issue by initially placing a 2-year ban on small-scale mining upon my assumption of office in January 2017, in order to fashion and implement policies on how to sanitize the sector and ensure that in future, small-scale mining would not damage our environment. We had to train some of the small-scale miners in responsible mining and find alternative livelihood resources for others who were engaged in illegal mining. Our efforts have begun to yield dividends. Some of the heavily polluted rivers are showing signs of being restored to health. And recently, there was a lot of excitement. Fish were seen again in one of the most famous rivers of our country, the Ankobra River, after many years of turbidity. We are determined to strengthen the regulatory framework for mining so that illegal mining, i.e. Galamsey, does not reappear.
Fellow Ghanaians, my name is Solomon Owusu from Denver, Colorado, United States. But I'm in Prestia now, Prestia, western region of Ghana. This river is River Ankobra. This is the river in Prestia that Nana Akufo-Addo went to South Africa and lied to the whole world that this river has been restored and we have fishes swimming in the river. Can fishes live in this river? Fellow Ghanaians, this is River Ankobra. He mentioned it. River Ankobra has been restored. This is River Ankobra in Prestia.
All right. So last week, if you followed, and I have no doubt that you would follow, we played a minister visiting one place and making the disclosure to all of us, to our shock, really shock, that it did appear that in some places where Galamsey was supposed to have been stopped, it has not been stopped. And in fact, heavy machines are back and they are working. We have also heard Professor Frimpong Boateng, who is a minister and who also has the charge of the interministerial committee responsible for ensuring that this thing is stopped, lamenting how the difficulties that he's encountering. Among others, he had to respond to 500 excavators that were seized that cannot be accounted for. In fact, we know that the concerned small-scale mining group has come forward, and some of them have been very public to say that they know where the excavators are. The excavators have found their way back into the hands of some illegal galamasey miners. They have been sold back to them, even though these were seized and kept at the various district assemblies. So, Kofi, let me start with you. Occupy Ghana and the Media Coalition Against Galamasey issued a statement, very tall one this week, as you know, talking about their disappointment about what has gone on so far. But having followed everything that has gone on up to this point, what do you have to say? And you have also been championing and giving specific solutions on how this can be stopped.
Yeah. And good morning to everybody, but I'm sorry on the issue of Galamasey. I'm going to be totally pessimistic. If you remember, like you said, we've been discussing this thing years ago. I remember when the drone issue came and we said, forget it. Okay. And my brother Inusa Fuseni was here and they talked about all kinds of things. And I said, there is only one solution for Galamasey. That is, make a simple rule that wherever illegal mining is found, sack the DC. Look, for me, it's that simple. It's as simple as that. And you know why that will not be done? It will not be done because too many of our leaders are involved in Galamasey. Too many politicians are funded from Galamasey money. Too many of the people involved in Galamasey have too much power in this country. So we won't win the fight against Galamasey. Samson. And that's what I've said here all the time, because the very people, look, when they formed Operation Vanguard, I sat here and said, that same group of people will become the enablers. What happened? We are not serious about Galamasey because our leaders are involved. Look, there are times when it's almost reckless to give the true picture and what can happen. It's almost reckless because you don't want that to happen. I can tell you from our study of what happened in Sierra Leone, especially Sierra Leone, Galamasey caused the country to collapse because the people found that the diamonds were going, they were not benefiting. So what you call those armies and those rebels, they started as Galamasey people. And then they armed themselves to protect the diamond trade and their mining of the diamonds. It turned into something else. What I'm saying is that, look, our leaders may think that right now they are benefiting one way or the other from Galamasey, and so they are not going to take, any serious action against it. Despite what Ken and Cole, Occupy Ghana, everybody is saying and doing, they just come and say things, they go back. Excavators are the single largest construction equipment that has been imported in this country the past 10 years. In thousands of excavators. What are we doing with them? We know they are coming through the ports, they are going to the hinterlands, they are digging and doing Galamasey. So look, like I said, it stresses me greatly. But we are not serious about Galamasey. If any leader is serious about Galamasey, nobody will buy drones. Because if you fly with a helicopter, you see what is going on. Every place where Galamasey happens is in a district. And there's a district chief executive. Our information, you are here, you can tell us, is that some of the district chief executives are the people renting the equipment and protecting the Galamasey people. And the chiefs will tell you, I've heard some of them say that, government hasn't done anything for us. These Galamasey people, when they come, they give us money, they take care of us. So Samson, we've been just playing lip service to this thing.
I don't think we'll succeed. Your pessimism is frightening because we are aware of the dangers of Galamasey. Yeah. And particularly for the Ghana Water Company, we have seen the effects already. And they have told us in the next 5-10 years, if we don't resolve this problem, you and I may have to import water. We have to buy water that is imported. And I think that really must send the signal straight. You had Dr. Nade Tego, project coordinator of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. She was here on the show last week. She mentioned one of the issues you mentioned, that politicians are involved. But what do you think that these DCEs you talk about can do when Operation Vanguard, military and police officers armed to the teeth are unable to check this thing?
So again, there is the window dressing and doing something to represent something. Where you do something because everybody's talking about it, everybody's worried about it, and people are saying this. So you want to do something to represent something. And then there is actually doing the thing. There's a saying that...
Is that a fair statement to the government for putting Operation Vanguard out there and placing a ban, making sure that miners are screened and providing livelihood for some of them who, who have been taking, their jobs have been taken? Is that a fair statement to the government?
Well, the point is, the sweetness of the pudding is in its eating. It is not possible for you to tell me, or any room of intelligent people, that the Ghana army with all its resources cannot dislodge a band of miners and young people. They can do it if they want to do it.
They have killed soldiers.
Oh, my brother, of course, if they have guns and they shoot, they'll kill you. But it is not possible to convince me that our Ghana army, worldwide renowned in peacekeeping, whatever, cannot dislodge miners in the land space of Ghana. So if they're not doing it, something else is the issue. And when Vanguard was put in place and all that, those guys are under orders. Okay? And God rest his soul, when Major Mama died, there were rumors that people were angry with what the army was doing because some of them were protecting the miners. Too much is going on. I'm glad you have this gentleman here. He's from there, he will tell you. But the point I'm making is this. Our government is playing lip service. I say, what stops them from just simply making the rule that if we find...
lip service is not putting an operation team of military and police officers into those areas. That's
lip service is where you put the army there and still the problem...
committee that is screening and has thousands of licenses taken away from people and is now put only about a few back because they are qualified to do the job and do it well.
You take out licenses, you form committees, you put the army there, and the problem is still there. And this is not a problem that human beings cannot solve.
The problem is still there in what measure?
The galamsey is going on. Okay, you seize excavators, the excavators go back. They clear the people, the minister goes and finds them mining. Okay, we see the rivers are still messed up. So Samson, my point is, how is it possible to convince me that you send the Ghana army in and they can't dislodge these guys? Look, how big is a district? For which reason, if a helicopter can fly from the north to the south 4 times in a day, we have more than 2. If you choose to, every week you can check where there's galamsey. If you choose to, you can send people there dropping from the helicopter. We see them doing that at Independence Square. So my point is, as for all the things that are going on, you can have a lot of action. You should never mistake action for progress. Never mistake action for progress. You can do a lot and not achieve anything. If we want to deal with galamsey, I say somebody should come and explain to me why we cannot simply say, if you are a district chief executive and anybody reports galamsey and it is confirmed that is happening in your district, you will lose your job. Why can that not be? Until I see that, I'm not sure we are serious about galamsey, because again, I'm saying too many politicians are funded from money galamseyers are giving them.
Are you suggesting by what you're saying that those at the forefront of fighting it are complicit?
I am suggesting, based on a lot of information, and again, I am happy my brother is here, that a lot of the money from galamsey is going to fund politics. And some politicians are beholden to people who are involved in galamsey. To that extent, therefore, they can never be sincere about fighting them. And look, this is a national issue. And I'm making it general because I want us all to see the problem.
Well, once you finish the point, immediately you are done with the point, I'm going to play 2 small clips to you of the president when he was campaigning. So I say candidate Akufo-Addo. And then after he won elections, President Akufo-Addo. And tell me if you can't trust and have faith that this campaign is working, despite, you know, what we are hearing in the midst of the campaign.
Before
I'll
you
play
play,
that to you shortly, but go ahead.
See, I trusted the president when he made those utterances. And I don't believe he was not sincere. Of course, he can't go into the bush and clear the galamaseyers himself. But he has to make the rules and insist that they are followed. I have watched over time, and I've seen the president take steps to try and deal with galamsey. But I've also seen what Manasseh did. And in the seat of government, people are accused of assisting galamseyers. So the president is one man, and I may trust him. But clearly his plans are not working. Maybe he's being sabotaged by his own people, as the work of Manasseh suggested. Of course, we'll say those people are under investigation, but we all know what's going on, what is not going on. So it's not about what a person says in a campaign. It is about what they do. And I've said, do not mistake action for progress. People can do a lot and achieve nothing.
Okay. I'm coming to the man who heads the National Association that is also seeking to assist in this whole process. The concerned small-scale miners will also join us on this line because we need to talk to the people who are affected most. But before I do that, I promised Kofi that I'll play something. So we used to measure whether or not you can trust this government in what it's seeking to do. Listen to candidate Akufo-Addo and listen to President Akufo-Addo.
Nukra bako eni mokra kra enye nukrene enye nukre ocha afro kese ene ndi support.
All right, so you just heard candidate Akufo-Addo, but we are going to listen to President Akufo-Addo. Candidate Akufo-Addo was speaking in Chi at a campaign, telling people that they had heard that the NDC had said that when he comes into office, he was going to stop galamsey. He told them that was a lie from hell and that he was going to create jobs for them and he will not be the one to stop galamsey. But after he won, see 360-degree change and check the president's consistency in even putting his presidency on the line. Okay, we have a little difficulty with that sound, but we'll bring it back. When you hear, and you have heard the president many times after the campaign, what do you say? That he's playing lip service?
Okay, thank you and good morning to listeners. First of all, we as the Small Scale Miners Association supports government sanitizing the small scale mining industry, because we believe that when the industry is sanitized, Ghanaians will have a lot of benefit from the small scale mining sector. For the president, we all trusted him the time he said he's going to put his presidency online for the fight against illegal mining. And as an association, we supported most of the campaigns. For example,
you trusted,
we
you
trusted,
supported.
yes, we trusted the time he said it. We trusted it,
and you supported,
and then supported it. So we sent our task force out there, and the association spent over 1 million Ghana cedis, so that we'll be able to clear the river bodies and then support the whole economy in terms of the water that we use, so that we don't lose our water, as the water service said, in the next 10 years we'll be importing water. And if you don't have clean water, you will not be even able to recover your gold very well, because we all need, if the turbidity is very high, you will lose a lot of gold. That is why we supported the whole campaign. But as the Vice of Imani said, military intervention over the years have not yielded any results. It started from the PNDC time, President Kufuor's time. It came to President Akufo-Addo, President Mahama, and now we are in. So our approach, the time we met the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources before this, we told them in 2016, when over close to 4,600 illegal miners invaded Obuasi mine, we took a different approach. And by then, Tony Obin was the chief executive. He mandated Richard Kofi Afenu to lead in that. So we have the Chamber of Mines, we had the Small Scale Miners Association, we have representative of the illegal miners who were on the AGA concession. We have CSOs in Obuasi, we have the police, and then we have the traditional. So we met as a committee, we engaged with the small scale miners, and in less than 1.5 months, we were able to relocate this, the 4,600 illegal miners from the AGC concession. So it's not military approach that will always, because the military approach will give you just a short-term results. But in the long term, as you said, there will be a lot of compromises along the way, and we will not be able to achieve the results. Secondly, Galamsey is a national issue, but we can manage it at the district level or the local level, and I support it clearly. As part of the KPIs for within the roadmap that was set by government before the ban was lifted, the KPIs were set for district chief executives that if Galamsey operations is in your district, you will be fired. It's part of the KPI, which we also supported. So the district mining committees that we have, they were all inaugurated in the districts. And headed by the district. And headed by the district chief executives. But I tell you, for now, they are not functioning. Oh, yeah. The only this thing that is functioning is Operation Vanguard and then Galam Stop. Machines that we said have been sent to the district assembly, most of them were not sent to the district assembly. There were 3 places that they were sent to. We have a yard in Obuasi, another one in Takwa, and in Accra. We have Operations Vanguard picking those excavators, and then it's sent to the district assembly temporarily. Then Galam Stop, which was headed then by Mr. Ajekum Ampofu. They had low beds that transport them from there to Accra. So when the equipment are seized, the district chief executives have no authority over them. It's the Galam Stop who have authority over them. So most of them were sent to either the yard in Obuasi, Accra, or Takwa. We had a lot of information from the chairman of those districts that most of these equipments that were seized, about 2 of them, they've seen it back at the Insuta Forest Reserve working. And it's been given to one guy called Abanga. So we asked, who is that Abanga? In the process, the excavators got bent by the forest guards there. So we realized that within the transporting those excavators from the various wings, they don't get to their final destination. It gets missing within that. So the whole issue of not knowing where the excavators are, that's why the concerned small-scale miners are saying that they know where they are. And it's true. Those excavators, majority of them never find their way to where they are supposed to go to. And how did the interministerial have the data of 500 excavators? Because they were briefed. Any machine that was picked, it was sent to them. And those low beds were paid. From our calculation, it will cost the state not less than 2.5 million Ghana cedis to transport those 500 excavators that are missing.
Just a couple of questions. They get missing in transit.
Yes.
From the point of seizure where they are kept with the DCEs temporarily.
Yes.
So they get missing, and there is evidence that they get missing. And who takes responsibility? What has happened to anybody when these have gotten missing?
That is why the minister who leads the interministerial is saying that the 500 excavators are missing. And we are asking that if this equipment are sent to the various yards, how they manage to get...
Without interrupting, I think we have to put certain things in perspective. The minister hasn't admitted that 500 excavators are missing.
Yes, he has not.
He has not.
He challenges the number.
Yes, exactly.
He says it should be less.
Exactly.
But he does not dispute the facts that are being conveyed.
Yes, so you see, that's why I'm saying that
Thank you for that
things in
intervention.
perspective.
Right.
Okay.
So my question really is, I was looking for an answer. Who takes responsibility? Those who are transporting them, they are human beings. They are known. Yes. What has happened to any one of them once we have discovered that these excavators, didn't get to their final destination?
So we need to know who employed them and what are the terms of reference that were given to them when they were transporting those equipment, and how did they get paid for the work that was done. Do you get it? Because you are supposed to pick an excavator from a particular point to the other point. And by the end of the day, some have got missing. Okay.
You also said that it is, or actually what Kofi Bentil is suggesting as the biggest way, the best way to solve this problem, letting the DCs fall if illegal mining is discovered in your place. And I said when the ban was lifted on galamsey, I was wrong about that. I meant to say when the ban was lifted on small-scale mining. Now, if it is part of the KPIs that if you're a DCE, you'll be fired if galamsey is going on in your jurisdiction, do we have any evidence of any DCE being fired for this?
No, we don't have.
We don't have?
Yes.
But we have evidence of the galamsey going on in the districts.
And there are so many factors.
So you see what Kofi Bentil is saying?
Yes.
That this thing is not working.
There are so many factors that causes galamsey to happen in districts. As we speak now, over the years, we have so many dredges on our river bodies. And the association, as I said earlier on, supported, and more than 7,600 were taken off from the river bodies. And the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources even supported us by giving us cash of 100,000 Ghana cedis to work on the Brim River. And the time we finished with the Brim River, we were able to pick over 700 dredges from the river body. You guys, so the association is doing much more. When we are given the chance to work with the DCEs, we will be able to do a lot more at the local level.
You had indicated that without Operation Vanguard, you were able to, as it were, relocate 4,000 illegal miners from the AGC concession, and that it doesn't take soldiers and arms to remove them.
Yeah, it doesn't take soldiers and arms, which we've demonstrated there. Acquirement is 2016 that was done. We had all support from government. We have support from the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. And the DCEs even were part of the movement committee.
You relocated them to where? You said you relocated them from the AGC concession to where?
And then, AGC shared some part of their concession off. And these miners that were relocated, we sent them to the various areas.
Illegal miners? So why do you relocate them?
No, they were illegal miners, but there are areas to solve the problem of illegality. It's an issue of bread and butter issue. There's so many social issues that you also have to lead. If you push all these people on the streets, what will happen? There are areas where people who are even ex-convicts, they don't find jobs anywhere. It's the small-scale sector that they find jobs. And if those people are kept on the mine and they get their daily bread, they will not go to the streets and create problems for ordinary people.
You're saying so that your focus was to remove the 4,000 illegal miners from AGC's concession and relocate them elsewhere to continue with the illegal mining that you are supposed to stop.
No, it's not illegal mining. It's a designated area for small-scale mining. AGA supported us to develop the area. We created access roads where the hills are dangerous. There were benches that were done so that the small-scale miners can undertake their activities. And the Minerals Commission was involved. The EPA was involved. And then those people were given some form of training, because we developed training program with UMAT, which was supported by the High Commissioner of Australian government. So we trained more than 800 of the small-scale miners before even government started the training program from them. So these people were sent because they know they have a place that they are going to work.
Okay.
And they complied. They complied. Within 1.5 months, we did that. So we proposed the same solution to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the Minister Agenda's Honorable Peter Amewu, that look, if we want to use military force, it will not work because over the years we've done it over and over again. We are not getting solutions. So the best thing is to get all stakeholders involved at the local level, so that we'll be able to fight this. Now the DCs, as people are blaming the DCs, but when you get to the field, now this issue of community mining, most of the areas that the community mining is taking place, as the president and Professor Frimpong Boatia are launching the community mining in designated areas for small-scale mining. You have some people who are politicians and party officials who are also inaugurating, let me use that word, illegal community mining operations in a lot of mining districts.
Okay, we have heard stories about that. So there's some division. People are not too sure who to obey, who to respect. And people say, people even come in the name of Vanguard when they are not Vanguard, and to try and support people and do all sorts of things. These things need to be tackled comprehensively. Now, let's hear from Felix, but before that, there's sound I wanted to play to you about president, not candidate. He heard that quickly, and let's come back.
But say, galamasey for say, pass and say, babe, deep brown so, that election I be, happy before who become. But they hear me say, may the Yankupo catch me say, hear some babe, I don't hear me. Now me babe say, a bebu man on coso, I don't hear me. Yeah, election, I said.
So Felix, this is a president who, whilst campaigning, did not exactly, think about stopping galamasey, because he was emphatic. If you have heard it said that I will stop galamasey, it's a lie from the NDC. Then he becomes president, and his rhetoric completely changes. Beyond rhetoric, he takes very monumental steps, concrete steps, including Operation Vanguard, Interministerial Committee, to stop this. And we know some of the fruits of what they have borne as a result of these processes. Do we still doubt him, or we should rather encourage him to push a little more?
Well, Samson, doubt has been written all over this supposed anti-galamasey fight. It is instructive that you played this clip of candidate Nana Akufo-Addo. At the time, he was obviously engaged in political rent-seeking. He feared that if he went out to say that he was going to stop galamasey, he would incur the wrath of those engaged in illegal mining, and perhaps they would not vote for him. So he told them what they wanted to hear, and in the process emboldened and encouraged them to carry on with their practice. He claimed that we in the NDC had said that he was going to ban galamasey. I don't know who in the NDC said that. As far as I know, it was never a campaign message of ours to go out and tell people that Nana Akufo-Addo will stop galamasey.
He went back to the same people after he won and said, I will do what
no, he didn't do that. You see, that is
God.
where I depart from your narration. When he became president, the fight against galamasey was never an organic policy of his. What had happened is that you and others in the media had begun a certain campaign and had thrown the spotlight on the deleterious effect of galamasey on the environment and all of us. So a coalition built, and I'm sure that's when the media coalition against galamasey was formed. So the president naturally came under pressure, and citizens began to agitate for some action on the part of government to address the issue. So he was compelled in the circumstance to present a facade of waging a battle against galamasey. Now, he put his presidency on the line, and that is critical. What does that mean? In the simplest terms, that he was saying that he was going to be responsible if the fight against galamasey failed. That is what it means to put your presidency on the line. It will stand to reason, therefore, that having made this commitment, he will erect a robust systems and process to address the issue, and then put his very best men in charge of executing that assignment. But it would appear as if the commitment or the semblance of it stopped at the inauguration of this anti-galamasey task force and the interministerial committee against illegal mining.
The president should get some Wellington boots and get on the field?
I have never suggested so. I have said that he should put in place the systems and select his very best men, because at least it is the one thing that he put his presidency on the line for. It means that he takes it very seriously, at least on the face of it. Now, the question that we need to ask is whether or not the president did these two things, the systems, the processes. Do we have his very best men tackling this phenomenon?
Professor Fimprom is one of his very best men.
Professor Fimprom is highly respected in another field.
Yes.
Health.
It's unfortunate now his own party people accuse him of being complicit in the process.
That in itself is telling.
A committee that shows
something.
That shows us results of
what
some
results?
of the things they have done.
The results we are aware of now is that the Ghana Water Company, only last week or so, said that they are unable to abstract sufficient water from the rivers in the western region to treat so that they could supply to consumers. And that if the activities of these illegal miners did not stop immediately, they will be compelled to shut down their treatment plants. That is the result we have on the table. In addition to this, I have seen, and I'm sure many of us have seen it, we've seen evidence, we've seen footage, we've seen sound recordings of people actively engaged in galamasey. Why? The disappearance of these excavators and the revelations by the concerned Small-Scale Miners Association that those excavators have found their way back into the hands of galamasey operators. Does it not tell us that that fight has failed? Now, excavators, as Mr. Bento pointed out, are not like motorcycles or tricycles or even minivans. These are huge earth-moving equipment that you require another vehicle actually to transport over some distances. Even shorter distances, you need another vehicle to transport.
He says we should have spent over
Absolutely.
$1 million.
More than
2 million.
Absolutely. So it means that considerable efforts and resources would go into moving the excavators from where they were placed to where they are now. The question to ask is the president not aware that he has put people in charge of this exercise? For which reason, if something goes amiss, they ought to be held liable. Why? The law says that when equipment like excavators and other things used in galamasey are seized, it should be kept in the custody of the police. If it is in the custody of the police, you can hold the police accountable. And I'm sure they themselves will be aware that eyes or fingers will be pointed at them, so they will exercise a bit more caution. But this did not happen. They were in the custody of people other than the police. So if the excavators get missing, we know exactly who to hold responsible, and that is those who have been put in charge of this exercise. Samson, as I speak, has President Akufo-Addo taken any action that you are aware of against those under whose watch these excavators are supposed to have gotten missing? Now we are haggling over the numbers. Even if it is one excavator, it is a clear indication of the failure of this activity or this exercise. But the whole thing was designed to fail ab initio because there was really no commitment. It was expedient for the president to act the way he did, having come under pressure. Again, when we have reached some epoch moments and some things have happened, what has been the response of the president? And I'm happy my brother, Honorable Penka, is here. When Aisha Juan was apprehended, Samson, it was a golden opportunity for the government to demonstrate its seriousness in this battle. Before we could blink an eye, a most bizarre nollie prosecutor had been issued for the case to be discontinued in court. Then, on our blind side, she was whisked away and taken to China. When questions emerged, the senior minister, and I believe he was speaking authoritatively, cited economic diplomacy because we were going to get some handouts from China. The president was willing to sacrifice the gains that would have been made had Aisha Juan been fully prosecuted and punished for the wrongdoing that she was alleged to have engaged in regarding galamasey. In addition to this, Samson, no sooner had the anti-galamasey task force and the interministerial committee on illegal mining been formed than allegations and in some instances evidence emerged of corruption and wrongdoing. At the very least, your friend Anas came up with a video in which we saw Charles Bisu, who was coordinator, I believe. Forgive me if I've gotten the designation wrong. Secretary, I beg your pardon. What action did the president take? Mr. Bisu resigned from the interministerial committee, but kept his position as a presidential staffer.
He's being investigated.
Well,
the process of law will take place. If he's found guilty, maybe that's the point where the president wants to take an action if he's found guilty.
Samson, what action did the president take? In this country, people have left their positions on the basis of
You don't know if the president advised him to resign his position?
In the Mambe and Johnson case, on the basis of allegations made against some people, a handful of ministers and government appointees resigned their position. I'm saying that Mr. Bisu remained in office as a presidential staffer. It did not send a signal to me, and I believe reasonable Ghanaians, that the president was serious about this fight. At the very least, you should have asked him to step aside from his government position to show you, again, where are we with the investigation? It's been over a year, if I'm not mistaken. How come that the one policy, the one initiative that the president has put his presidency on the line for, witnesses such sloth, such snail pace in investigations into allegations of wrongdoing against a key official,
and the president is to blame for that?
But why?
The president is not the it's not the what do you call it, the criminal agency.
As I speak to you, the president is not a criminal agency, but there are government officials who belong to the previous administration who are standing trial for what I would describe as less serious offenses than this. They are members of the NDC. Our national chairman is in court over an offense that I would dare say does not measure up to what has been revealed in this anti-galamasey fight. So if the president is willing, and depending on the coloration of who is involved, he takes action. He has not taken the requisite action in this matter. And I don't think anybody can be satisfied with this.
Okay.
Samson, again, it is not only excavators.
Sorry?
What should the president have done? He should have arrested Bisu and
the same thing the president, the same thing the president and the government did. The same thing, no, Mr. Penka, the same thing the president did. In the case of Mr. Ampo, how long did it take between the time Mr. Ampofo's supposed tape emerged and the time he was put before court? How long did it take? It didn't take 2 months. Yet in Mr. Bisu's case, we are going over a year. It is a telltale sign of the lack of seriousness that we are all speaking about. And I'm saying that in this country, we tend to mistake flowery language and lofty rhetoric for good intention and action. We have not seen the action that should engender confidence in us that this president is serious about the fight against
Don't vote for me to be president if I don't win this fight. And you say that's rhetoric?
But it is rhetoric.
Somebody can go that extent.
Samson, what has been the outcome? Perhaps he believes that Ghanaians will not punish him for it. What has been the outcome? At the end of the day, we measure success by the outcomes. Today, Ghana Water Company is threatening to shut down their plants because waters are polluted. The same water bodies that whose supposed cleanliness a few years ago was highlighted as proof positive of how effective the fight has been. Today is filled with mud because Galamsey operations are taken. And it is not me
some will ask, can you imagine a situation where he didn't make this intervention as a president?
But something, you see, what is worth doing is worth doing well. When you come and tell me that you have put your presidency on the line, because of the seriousness of that declaration, I would expect a certain level of action, which is commensurate with the rhetoric.
Okay.
But you see, something, Mr. Bento speaks about sacking DCs. Why? The president appoints the DCs directly, doesn't he? So, how long should it take him to dismiss a DC under whose word Galamsey operations will emerge?
Okay.
He hasn't done it.
All right.
So, where from the optimism that we have to, and see again, final point before you go. The fight against Galamsey goes beyond putting boots on the ground. It goes, and as Mr. The name again, Godwin has indicated.
I think we must note, though, that at the very start, one DC suffered for this.
Well, but Samson, there are bigger fishes. Look, I even find it embarrassing that Professor Frimpong Boateng would announce the disappearance of excavators. Elsewhere, he would resign his position.
Okay. All right.
Elsewhere, where they take these things seriously, he would resign his position.
Okay, you hold on. But like I said, the lady, the Dr. Nade, was here last week. She asked for all of us to support them because they have some problems, including what we are complaining about, political, interference, and particularly blackmail. At this time, going into elections, people are seeking to blackmail, and they say, if you don't allow us to do our work, we'll vote against you. So we as citizens must come together to assist it to work. After all, like you said, this was a campaign started by citizens, started by media, and not by the government. Let me bring on very quickly Michael Kwejo Pepra. He's president of the Concerned Small Scale Miners Association. Michael, good morning and thank you for joining us on Newsfile.
Thank you, something.
Right. So, Michael, you are on record to have said publicly, confirmed that the excavators are going back into the same illegal hands. Your friend here has confirmed the same thing and actually mentioned someone's name. How do you get this information and what do you do with it when you get it?
First of all, let me extend my greetings to your viewers and your panelists as well. It's true. These machines that were taken from various mining sites were taken to Accra. And I think industrial areas to be precise. We started to do a follow-up on these machines. We were able to go to court, and court gave an order for those machines to be released because some of us had our license. When the order came and we started doing a follow-up, tracking where our machines were, we went to the yard that the machines were taken to, and to our dismay, when we went there, those machines were not there. We went to some of the offices to ascertain why those machines were moved from where we thought the machines were, and they told us that they can't do anything about it. Even if court has given order for those machines to be released, it doesn't work there. So we started tracing those machines by ourselves. We were able to trace some of these machines as far to Navongo. Yes. We went there and these machines, some have tracking devices. So when the machine starts to work, you can track where the machines are. We went to Navongo, we met one Alaji. They were like, this machine belongs to us. And he said, yes, even if it belongs to us, he has bought it from some people. And for that matter, even if we want some of these machines to buy, he was going to lead us to whoever sold those machines to. They were like, wow. Another instance, they came to take a machine from Kutukum in Ashanti region. We tracked those machines and we realized the machines were used in renting. So if somebody is engaging in illegality, then what they are saying, and you see a machine, leaving all these things behind, and then these machines are sold or given back to, another prospective galamasey, then what is the headway, or what is the way forward? That is why we came out, because we have information. We've gone to the authorities. We reported these issues to them. And it's not only machines, pickups, cars. We have seen a lot of cars, and we can't trace these cars. So that is what is happening. So if the minister comes and says that over 500 excavators are missing, then we need to call him to order, and he should come and tell us, because they take inventory of all these machines.
Kojo, my question to you is, when you make these discoveries, and it looks like you've been very diligent, you've been doing some work following the trail, what do you do with the information you have?
We go to the chairman of the interministerial committee, and we report back to him what we have found. And sometimes they tell you, oh, don't worry, you go, we are going to work on it, and nothing is done. You only leave and you call them. Oh, you wait, you will call you. That is what they have been doing. And these machines are back to field. Yes, that it has changed hands from the ownership. Let's say if I own the machine and it has been taken, it has been sold to another person, and now there's a new owner, and those machines are being engaged in the same thing.
So if the committee set up by the president or state officials got in contact with you, you can lead them to retrieve these machines? Is that what you're saying? We
have started. We've called all our members. We are taking the chassis number. We've asked some of our members to bring the document to ascertain, because whatever we are saying is not a mere hearsay. We have evidence, and even if they should invite us today, we are willing to come, and then we are willing to also try and retrieve those machines. Because one, if we don't retrieve these machines, it means some people are making money from the fight against galamasey. Two, what do we do with those dugout pits over there? Because the person is engaging in illegality. We can use these machines to cover this pit, and another person goes to buy the same machine and use it for the same way. Why if they call us, we'll come. If they should invite us today, we are willing to furnish them with all the information we have, and we are going to give them leads.
Okay, but you have not lost.
There are places that we've gone and we've been able to retrieve those machines.
But you have not lost faith in the committee?
Sorry?
You have not lost faith in the campaign against it?
Oh, we have lost faith. Now we don't believe anything that they say. Because let me tell you something, Mr. Sample. You know, when this fight against galamasey started, the Lands and Natural Resources brought about a project operator implementation document, which was called the Multilateral Mining Integrated Project. That project, you know, they had a meeting with us. We had a broader discussion, and we brought about this project, this document. And after, you know, we've had this project done, Mr. Mewu was kicked out. And then the new interministerial committee was set up, and then they started the fight against galamasey, putting, you know, aside the document. We sat down and then we've all agreed that we were going to follow, because this document has a short-term, long-term, and medium-term. And this document, if I could read chapter 2, subsection 1, it brings about the highlight of the main issue. Because let me tell you, people are engaging in galamasey because, one, they don't have documents. All these lands that we see are being owned by foreign companies. 98% of mineable land in this country are being owned by foreign companies. They only come take these concessions and they go sit outside the country. What they are only interested is they renew their documents when the documents expire. So somebody who is a prospective miner who wants to do the right thing is not being able to acquire the license needed to mine. And that is one thing that is breeding galamasey. Okay. And if I should read conflict, I think the chapter.
Okay, so you read that for us, and then we end it there. Read that portion for us, and we end this discussion with you.
Okay, this is a common conflict between small-scale miners or galamaseyers and then the large-scale. So this is common between large-scale operators working within a formal regulated land tenure framework, and some small-scale miners illegally working on the land over which they have no legal entitled to. Because if, let's say, I am in Kotokum, I can be a small-scale miner. I can purchase an excavator. I think that is where I am from, and my father is a chief. I've gone to the Minerals Commission to ascertain if, you know, a portion of those land can be given to me so that I can mine responsibly. And to your dismay, you go to the Minerals Commission, they will tell you, oh, this land belongs to Pilangio. You will get angry, and then you'll be like, if my father is a chief, why can't I mine? So you mine with impunity, do whatever you want without being regulated. Then at the end, they leave all those dark outfits, and then it becomes a problem for the nation.
Okay, Michael, so if I hear you, you are saying that a return to this particular document as introduced by Peter Mewu is one of the ways, the surest way to resolve the problem.
Exactly so.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Michael. Kwejo Pepra is president, Concerned Small Scale Miners Association. You agree with his last point?
Yes, the MMIP, we all developed it.
MMIP?
Yes.
Which is what?
Multilateral Mining Integrated Project.
Multilateral Mining Integrated Project. By Amawu?
Yes, it's because the time we informed him that we should not use the military approach, but we should use the all-involving approach to solve it at the local level. All stakeholders were engaged, and we went to the Takwa School of Mines. We had the academians, we all came together and then had developed that document. Okay. But after the ban was lifted, this document, we should have kicked it in place so that at the end of the day, we start rolling it, the short term, the long term, because it has 5 years lifespan. Okay. And it's situated in the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, which even when there is a successive government, you can follow it up, you can sustain it. Okay. But now we are implementing things by a committee, and we don't know how long the committee will last. So if the committee is not there, what happens to this project?
Thank you very much. Kofi, quickly,
quick information on this. Samson, I was in Aspen and I met artisanal silver miners. It's very important because of what he's saying. And I was going to buy two, so we engaged them. They said they mine, they are galamaseyers. It's artisanal silver mining, individuals. So I said, how do you do this without destroying the environment? Aspen is a billionaire's playground. Their biggest industry is tourism in winter. Snow falls and the whole place is white. People go there to pay money to ski. Why it's important is somebody can do galamasey, and afterwards white snow falls. No environmental degradation. People pay billions to come and ski. So when I asked them how, they said, oh, they do it, but they do it under strict state supervision, and they do not spoil the environment. My point is this. It is possible to do artisanal mining or galamasey or small-scale mining under strict state supervision. This is a failure of the state.
I see.
And we can fix it.
All right, and I will get a quick one from Felix later, but Felix, think about it and let us know, does the NDC has any blueprints if it won power in 2020? What will be the approach? Because you don't seem to believe in what is going on, even though the committee shows us some results. And I don't know if any one of you has followed a very sad spectacle that a member of the Vanguard, Operation Vanguard team, a police officer, has actually lodged a complaint against another member of the team who is a military person. And his allegation is that this officer pockets as much as 45,000 cedis bi-weekly. And we understand that there's supposed to be an investigation into this petition. It's actually a petition that has been sent by a member of the committee of the Operation Vanguard against another member of the Operation Vanguard.
We've heard him hear that thing. A minute before the deputy AG. Look, Samson, I have seen a court order ordering a member of the Operation Vanguard team to return a vehicle that he appropriated illegally after it was seized from illegal miners.
Okay.
And the reports ran into thousands. That is not just excavators that go missing.
It's big.
That when they seize property, they appropriate it and then sell.
Okay. So this is a petition by David Jokoto, and he did it and copied it to the commanding officer of the Operation Vanguard team, Obuase, and to the chairman, the Interministerial Committee of Illegal Mining at the Jubilee House. So what exactly is going on after he filed this? We understand the committee has been set up. Maybe the Interministerial Committee will want us to know a lot more about what is going on. Because if they take action and sanction this particular officer, we should get to know, and it will inspire a lot more people to report. Wenka, I don't know if you can start on this note. The Mining Act, as amended, may be a cure to the missing excavators. Felix made a reference. That act says when you seize this equipment, you have seized evidence of crime. Hand it over to the police for the purposes of the prosecution that must follow or the legal action that must follow. Don't you think it is because we are not giving them to the custody of the police, but putting them at DCE's bungalows, that's giving rise to missing in transit?
Well, thank you very much. I'd like to tackle a particular issue before I move to the main issue. You see, there's this issue you just spoke about, one member of the Operation Vanguard reporting the other. It is the reason why I totally support that there will be an amendment to the Office of the Special Prosecutors Act to let us criminalize unexplained wealth. It is the reason.
Yeah.
Because if you are a member of Galamasey Task Force, and maybe within a year you have 3 houses and a number of cars, and we have this as law, we will have to come to you.
If you're a minister, if you're a judge,
yeah, absolutely.
If you're a journalist, you must explain the source of your wealth.
The burden will shift. But we haven't criminalized it. And so most of these things may go the way they are going until we are able to work on this. And I know that the special prosecutor is very committed to this. I've had discussions with him. He stated this time and again. And the commitment is there to push it through.
But when you put Operation Vanguard people aside, the people who declare their assets, the law is very clear. Once they have declared their assets and they have made acquisitions, people should be able to make complaints to Shraj. And without a criminal process, Shraj is supposed to go to court and to confiscate those assets that they will not be able to explain unless they can show the source of money, if it's a gift or anything. This is supposed to apply to those who declare assets, ministers, you know, and all of
that. But even that explanation is those are civil consequences. But I'm talking about criminal consequences.
We don't use the declarations as secret.
Let me put this in perspective. You see, even that is a civil solution. But I'm talking about criminal consequences.
Yeah, but I'm saying even that one we haven't tried using it.
Even a civil one.
I agree. But that may be a problem that we've encountered over the years.
Okay.
Yes. But let me come back to the vexed issue of Galamsey, as we have discussed.
And start with my question.
I will again, I'll soon answer your question as I drive on. Samson, in 2017, in this studio, I made a categorical statement that if care was not taken, we're on our way to committing mass suicide. I made that statement before you here. And that was with respect to Galamsey. Mass suicide. I stated this in 2017. And I hold the view that Galamsey is the surest key to killing all of us. I still maintain that view. But you see, having listened to my three colleagues, I come to one very, very disturbing conclusion, which should not be at all. There's so much cynicism. There's so much pessimism.
Is there a basis for it?
And it appears to me, from the presentations I've heard, that we are virtually at the point of an apocalypse in this country. As if we are all joining hands to throw it up in the skies in despair that we've come to a point of no return, which I don't agree with at all. You see, if you listen, again, I want us to look at what you did say about His Excellency the President as candidate Nana Addo and His Excellency the President Nana Addo. Samson, you are a lawyer, and not just any lawyer. In my estimation, a very good one at that. But you don't take statements of people, parts of it, and then be able to digest it. It's like constitutional interpretation, that you take a clause from a whole article, and then you make meaning out of that clause without reading the article as a whole. You see, the context he made did not mean that he was saying, when I come into office, Galamsey will be allowed. That was not the meaning at all. And you took him out of context. You see, Galamsey itself is an illegal activity. So no one can tell you that when I become president, I will allow you to do illegal activities. It's like saying that people are engaged in robbery and you are campaigning and say, when I become president, I will not stop robbery. What is criminal is criminal. So he made it within a certain context. And what was the policy of the New Patriotic Party at the time? The policy was, when we got power, we're going to regularize some of these Galamseyers into small-scale mining groups and empower them to engage in legal activities. But not that he was saying that he will allow Galamsey to go on. Please, that word Galamsey itself is an illegal activity and cannot be allowed to perpetuate. Nobody can sit down and say that, for me, I am allowing Galamsey. Because it's an illegal activity, it's an unlawful activity.
In that statement, he said, I have heard, or you have heard, that it's being said that when you vote me, I will stop Galamsey. That is a lie perpetrated by the NDC. That's what the president said.
That's why I'm putting it within a very strict context. That he said that, yes, this is Galamsey you are doing. They are saying that I will stop it. But this
That's
is what
not
I'm going
true.
to. But I'm saying that.
It's a lie. He said it's a lie.
Hold on.
I won't stop Galamsey.
Hold on. You see, that was not
No,
all
I think
that.
we should progress to after candidature.
Yes.
Because when
but
he
that
has
was not
become
all
president,
that. You see,
we have no question
that
about what
speech,
he wants to do.
In that speech that he delivered, you are quoting. You didn't play the entire tape of what he said in that program. You picked a portion of it.
You know we don't play entire
Yes,
tapes.
of course. Yes, but if you pick that portion, you wouldn't know what was the precedence, what he said before and what he said thereafter.
Okay.
In clarification.
That's fair.
Because I think that it would be unfair to pigeonhole him into just that portion. You know, because you don't know what happened before or after.
That's right.
But you see, after he became president, and I differ strongly from what Felix actually adumbrated in this particular program, it was not just because of pressure from public interest organizations. It was not because of that.
It was not your
There
plan.
was a personal commitment on the part of the president.
No, but there was no plan. Because even if you check the vetting of Peter Amewu before Parliament, the plan was different. It had nothing to do with what the president then hijacked, which is a good thing that we all applaud. That you back the media campaign with the awesome coercive powers of the state. That's the only way it works.
Indeed. But that's what exactly we are discussing now. Three things. First, you must have a policy. Second, the policy must be implemented properly to lead to desired goals.
Right.
And thirdly, you must have a legal regime that will tackle it in the event of problems arising as a result of implementation of your policies.
Right.
Basically, that's what you do. So what did His Excellency the President do? After making such very strong statements and speeches about Galamsey and his intentions about it, he moved a step further to put together the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining. And you may have, again, something. I want us to put something in perspective once more. That is what the good old Professor Frimpong Boateng said. He was taken out of context. And I'll demonstrate that shortly. You see, the excavators he spoke about that got missing were excavators that were seized at the very beginning of the fight. And those ones were left at certain assemblies. But thereafter, and that is why the secretary indicated it, thereafter it changed. Seized excavators no longer go to district assemblies. That is why they have 3 depots in the country. In Accra, in Obuasi, and in Takwa, where these things are kept. The other difficulty I want you to note is that we may have to find a way of getting the police to have custody of these things where they are kept. Because there will be a problem if you are going to say that hand them over to the police, because they themselves will not be able to.
No, that's what the law says.
Yes.
That hand them over to them to keep as evidence
hold it.
to prosecute the crime.
I agree with you, but I'm saying that if
you are
something is in the
suggesting we
custody,
should redefine that process. And I'm saying the law says do it this way.
I'm not saying we are redefining it.
Okay.
Let me give you an example. If the police, we seize about 100 excavators. Right. And we tell the police that these are the excavators. They are your custody and possession. But you don't have space. We are keeping them.
You don't need space.
Hold on.
You don't need space.
Hold on. They are being kept here. Take custody.
Right.
Put your men there. Be in charge. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's still in their custody and possession and control. There's nothing wrong with it. So until it is established to me beyond a shred of doubt that where these excavators are kept are not in control of the police, you cannot say that they are not in the possession and custody of the police. Because being in possession and custody of the police does not necessarily mean packing them at the police station. That is not the meaning.
Okay.
Because you see, in the first place, are you going to have enough spaces at the various police stations to have excavators parked there? No. So there ought to be a place. The only thing you may have to argue is that there should be a coordinated approach in such a way that they have direct control over wherever these excavators are kept.
Right.
But Samson, again, when I listened to Felix, it appeared to me as if I was listening to a PNC man or CPP or DPP or any other political party.
The politics.
Normally, if you know my style, I don't go on very good programs like this.
So explain.
And try to do politics and those things. Because the people listening to us are very discerning.
Do small.
You see,
you explain.
they had the opportunity of being in power for 8 years. The vigorous campaign that was launched by us to fight Galamsey was as a result of the spillover of what happened in 2016. Those excavators did not fly into Ghana in 2017.
You know that in their regime, excavators were bent. Do you know that?
Hold it. Have you listened carefully to my learned senior Husseini?
Yes.
And what he stated about the fight against Galamsey during their era?
Yeah. About the difficulties.
Of course, have you listened to him?
So they were fighting, but they had difficulties.
But let me tell you, never.
Definitely not on the scale that
in
we
the
have
recent
seen
history,
now.
in the recent history, you cannot debate it that there has been a very massive fight against it. And you see, where you have, excuse me to say, people who are of a certain stature engage in certain activities, and you are fighting that process, it becomes very difficult and complex. You know, he stated about the involvement of persons. In fact, as a lawyer, I don't have any evidence to that effect.
There is evidence. I have evidence.
I don't have any evidence that there's a high-ranking person who is directly involved.
There's evidence of that.
All the evidence I have is evidence of rumor.
Beyond rumor.
Beyond rumor, I don't have a concrete evidence that a high-ranking official has been engaged in Galamsey. But that's not the point.
What Professor Frimpong Boateng explains is that they may be engaged in small-scale mining allowed by law.
Sure.
But not Galamsey.
So, for example, if you realize that there's a top official who is making money from mining, and then you go into investigate and realize that the person has license, what offense has he committed? But if you can establish that the person is engaged in illegal activity, it's an offense, and nothing prevents you from walking to the nearest police station to provide evidence for the person to be arrested. And remember that to actually make things very, very serious, the legal regime, very serious to ensure that people who perpetrate this suffer penal consequences, the law has been amended. You are aware that you could walk into jail for up to 15 years if you are convicted by the amendment we did last year.
But if the people are not being put before court to get convicted, what's the use of the law?
No, but if they are arrested,
if the people are getting, as it were,
something across the country,
if they are getting nolli prosequi because it is dangerous to do that to China.
You know, Samson, you isolate an incident and generalize.
But that's important.
Hold it. You see, every day, people are being arrested and put before court. People are being jailed. You see, the only problem you have...
No,
yes, people are being jailed.
Professor Frimpong Boateng doesn't agree with you.
No.
He has a problem with the prosecutorial process.
No.
He says they are arrested, they are put on bail, and then it seems it's the end of the story.
I sit on this chair, and I sit as Deputy Attorney General. And the evidence I have may be contrary to what you're talking about.
All right.
You see, the only reason why you don't seem to get it is that the majority of those who go into this jail are smaller fishes. That's the problem. That
where are the big fishes?
I'm coming to that. And I'll demonstrate it to you. You find that some people...
We must end this segment now, but... Can you give us some
figures? If I can just...
Can you give us some figures about the prosecutions and maybe
You have a situation where some young men are on vacation and they decide to go and look for something to go back to school. And they go and engage themselves in Galamsey. They are arrested and they are sent to court. They plead guilty. They are given some number of years in prison and all that. Nobody hears of it.
Because the big fishes are still...
About how many of that do we have?
No, but I'll make reference to something, which is a problem that is systemic that all of us need to tackle.
Please, you must conclude in
I don't
30
know,
seconds.
Samson, you've read this book. The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet.
You are a vociferous reader.
The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet.
Very important point, 1 second.
And I'm just landing.
Yes, do.
You see, there's a proverbial fishing net in The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born, thrown into the sea, catches smaller fishes. The bigger ones pass through the holes.
That can happen.
But that should not be. And that's why His Excellency the President has declared this war.
Okay.
He's put in place all the necessary things.
Okay.
Operation Vanguard, Interministerial Committee,
Right.
robust laws and amendments.
Felix,
Fight
give me
it.
1 minute.
Let's applaud the president.
How
Well,
differently?
I'm not sure.
How differently?
I'm not sure that 1 minute is
Any
enough.
plans? 1 minute.
Well, I'm not sure
sorry.
1 minute. I'm not sure
I'm
1
sorry.
minute is enough. To
Yeah,
do
go
this,
ahead.
but if you want,
summarize.
Give
Give us a
if you
list.
want-
Give
if you
us a
want-
list of
no,
what
no,
you
no.
will
See,
do.
you see, first of all, people go into Galamsey knowing pretty well that it's a very dangerous trade because of some push factors. There are young people who are unemployed who find it attractive. Perhaps they think that it's a quick way to make money.
Yeah.
So to address it holistically, you need to give alternative livelihoods.
Do you have a plan?
Oh, of course, we have a plan. It's just unfortunate that this time will be too short for me to elaborate. But in the fullness of time, we'll come out with it. Again,
Okay.
finally, before Mr. Bento comes in, again, I don't know why Mr. Penka feels that the record of the NDC or the lack of it is a justification for this shambolic approach to the fight against Galamsey. Assuming that we did nothing.
Okay.
And Galamsey has been going on at least since the 80s, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I will say
So, and in between
All right,
that, the
thank
NDP was
you.
also in power for 8
Thank
years.
you. Thank you.
Before the
very
NDC
important
came.
for
So I'm not sure where,
Kofi, yes,
where the
yes.
line.
Just a minute, and you
done.
give us a minute of what you think should be done.
District chief executives in every district in this country are the chairpersons of the district mining committees.
That's right.
They energize and supervise mining. And they are also chairpersons of district security committees.
Right.
If any breach or infraction happens there, they are responsible. It is not possible that we continue to have this problem and district chief executives are not paying the price for it.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Going forward, I think the first thing we have to do is to ensure that the MMIP is enrolled, is launched, so that we follow the processes that we've put in place in the document. And then number two, the National Association of Small Scale Miners also, we have our self-regulation policies that we put across, and we'll engage with the district assemblies to be able to sanitize the system at the grassroots level. But the last one I have is we want to know who is in charge of the mining space. Is it the Interministerial Committee, the Minerals Commission, or the Lands and Natural Resources Committee? Because there's clear confusion there. And licenses that were issued in 2016 have been declared null and void in publication by the Interministerial Committee. We petitioned the minister. That is only the minister that can revoke the license issued. So we are still waiting for him to act on that.
Okay.
If not, all the miners, including the concerned miners, the eastern miners, we are all coming together to find a way out of
Thank you very much. I'll share a couple of text messages with you. We take a break. When we return, the panel will be reconstituted and we'll look at questions of the IPAC meeting with the eminent advisory committee that appears to have been held on a boxing ring. And then the NPP seeking to protect newer and the older. Some actually say it will be suicidal if they are not protected or anybody is allowed to contest them. That's Chairman Sabonso. The first Deputy Speaker of Parliament also wants similar protection. They are saying that if things don't happen, it is the NPP that will lose. But political scientists disagree with some of them. Okay, so I had mentioned about the petition, which is already public by one Operation Vanguard member against another member. I think, from what I know, that this petitioner deserves special protection. Otherwise, I don't know how the team can continue at this time when the investigation has not, as it were, commenced and concluded. A couple of messages here. Okay. So you would remember that Abdul Malik Ukubako had said on this show earlier, making an appeal to the president to take out party elements from the machinery set up to fight Galamsey. He said this on Newsfile, and he is repeating the same this morning. Kwame Esiedusapon says, we need to pause the talk and judge all the Galamsey fight on outcomes. What is the state of our forest and river bodies now? Have their quality, viability, and vitality gotten better, worse, or remain the same? My view is this politicization of environmental degradation is why powerful, politically exposed people are holding us all to ransom. It is very sad. A miner says that the military personnel posted on Vanguard now say the Galamsey operation is now their Lebanon. It's now their Lebanon, to which their UN mission, which usually gave them some few dollars. So what shall we expect? I'll return to read a lot more messages on the Galamsey matter to you. We'll be right back.